move us through this, but as you know, this isn't my normal role, so we're gonna make this work, but we are also gonna try and move very expeditiously to make sure we can get all our voting in while we have quorum. So, with that, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Second? Everyone in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Perfect, thank you.
And the appeal announcement, appeal of decisions from the Metropolitan Employee Benefit Board pursuant to the provisions of section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Notice is hereby given that decisions of the Metropolitan Employee Benefit Board may be appealed to the Davidson County Chancery Court by filing a petition for a writ of certiorari. Any such appeal must be filed within 60 days after the entry of the Benefit Board's decision. You should seek independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements are met. You should also seek independent legal advice regarding the applicability of the writ of certiorari to the specific decision of the benefit.
All right, Dr. Dodd, we are ready for our pensions. Good morning. All right. Yes. Minor snafu. Thank you. I think it's just my first one. Okay, I believe we can take numbers 1 through 4 together.
Yes, that's fine for me.
Okay.
Items number 1 through 4 are approvals with reexaminations as noted.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, we've been moved in second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Perfect, thank you. Now numbers 5 and 6 we'll take together.
Yes. Items 5 and 6 are approvals with reexamination as noted.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments for 5 or 6? All right, we have moved in second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Perfect, thank you. And then numbers 7 through 9 we will take together.
Yes. Items 7 through 9 are deferrals. However, we have an amendment on one of them.
Okay.
Yes, if you received an electronic packet, it's possible that your item 9 says March 2026. That should be April 2026. After looking at the timing of the upcoming visit, it's unlikely that we will have the information by the March meeting, but we should have it by the April meeting.
And that is for number 7, just for
For
clarification.
number 9.
Number 9, sorry.
And that does
Okay.
match the staff report.
Perfect, okay.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments?
Question in a second.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Perfect. Yes, and now we will move on to number 10.
Initials TM from INDOT. Is that employee here? And do we have a representative from INDOT that could come forward, please?
Good morning, Charles Bodie with INDOT.
Good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Dodd, your recommendation?
Recommendation is return to work with restrictions.
Can the department return this employee to work?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Questions?
Yes.
Yes, Board Member Hall?
Just totally agree with the motion and second. Appreciate the department, especially given the disability standard for general government positions. But just noting, I feel like the medical records suggest that as these things improve, that the driving restriction could be lifted. So, and it sounds like at some point, maybe some kind of functional driving test maybe in the future may be appropriate so that the department can properly offer an array of positions, including her prior position. Did I read that differently?
Well, the non-IOD related injury, we didn't get as much information on that to speak to, you know, this is the prognosis, this is the plan, this is the treatment.
Got it.
Because it was not with relation to the IOD. But that does seem reasonable if the employee does pursue and wish to resume driving duties, which we would presume they would,
Yep.
then of course, since this restriction is not just in relationship to
The
employment,
job, that's right.
but this is a global restriction that was imposed by the clinicians, so I'm sure it would be of the employee's benefit to get those rights restored.
Yes, completely agree. And I assume that we would need her to be very, not assume, there's a requirement that she would be forthcoming at that information. To your point, most people do have to transport themselves to and from, so you can't pick and choose when there is a driving restriction, to your point. So, much appreciated. Thank you.
We have a motion and second. Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, let's vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 11 is initials LH from the sheriff's office. Is this employee present, and is there, I see him right there, if you could come forward.
Thank you. And if you would introduce yourself, please.
Byron Grizzle, HR Director of Davidson County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Good to see you. Dr. Dodd?
The recommendation is return to work, no restrictions.
So moved. Second.
Are you able to return this employee to work?
Yes,
Okay. Questions or comments?
assuming Oracle will let me.
Fingers crossed.
Sorry, I apologize, that was my outside voice.
Every now and then it sneaks out with all
Yes,
of us.
I do apologize.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 12, initials LK from Parks. Is that employee present? And is there a, yes, please come forward. And is there a representative from Parks present? Yes, coming too. Okay, thank you. If y'all could just introduce yourselves, please.
Lisa King.
I'm Leanne Lee with Parks.
I think you're right here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
Got you.
Perfect. Thank you. Dr. Dodd?
Recommendation is return to work with no restrictions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does the employee want to speak, or the department? Are you able to return this employee to work?
We are able to return her to work, but I believe she wants to make a statement.
It's the position I would be going back to, would be the one that, was the reason medically why I went out on disability. There were ADA accommodations, that the Parks Department, worked with me, but sufficiently weren't able to, help me enough to where I could, be able to perform the job well enough. So I'm asking for the board's consideration medically. We're talking ER visits from stress. Yeah, so I'm just asking for the board's consideration for another job in the department. I'm willing to go anywhere in Metro, just this job was very toxic, and there is ADA history behind this job.
Yes.
Just trying to be responsive, I think, both to the board and to Ms. King here. The information in front of us medically is that you can return to this classification without restrictions. And so now the Parks Department, in accordance with the Metro Code, will offer you a job that is within your education, skill sets, and experience that would do that, with or without accommodation. So it may not, the Parks Department does have some discretion here as far as the jobs that are offering to you, but those jobs would be offered in a way that you would need to be able to perform them with or without accommodation. So I think once the board makes the board doesn't get to determine what position you return to, the board doesn't get to offer ADA accommodations. The medical record in front of us and your testimony here is that you are capable of performing the job of a program specialist 3 without restriction. So now, when this goes to a department, the department will look to identify positions within your education skill set experience that are consistent with that. Make up to 3 written job offers. And to the extent that any of those positions would require an ADA accommodation, would also enter into the interactive process with you at that time. Depending, the position they offer you may not need you to have to request an ADA accommodation. So I just want to at least clarify the roles and responsibilities as that shifts away from the board to the department. But they would have to offer you a job within your requisite skill sets and vacancy that they have available. And to the extent you need an accommodation, they would be required to go through that interactive process with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
What I'm understanding from Ms. Lee is that I would go back, that would be the job. And then that would be it. But do I need to make an ADA accommodation?
You should, if you believe that the position they offer you, that you will need an ADA accommodation, yes, I would make the request at the time they make that offer so they can enter into that interactive process with you
Okay.
to determine if they can do that.
That did previously happen before I exited this position on disability for 2 years.
Okay, so that same process would need to occur again. If that was, if the position they offer you, you believe requires an ADA accommodation, they are required to enter into that process to evaluate that through the ADA interactive process. But that happens directly with the department, not with the Employee Benefit Board.
Okay.
We have, oh, sorry, yes, Mr. Finch?
Yes, I'm observing you, and I just want to say this. Stress in itself, in of itself, is not something that is accommodated. Every job has its own stress. But what I would encourage you to do is continue that interactive process and really have some internal conversation with your colleagues about what triggers you've dealt with, where you are today, and what your desires are to move forward, so that they can understand how best to be accommodating. They don't know what they don't know. And so I would just encourage you to be very communicative and give them the opportunity to support you. It sounds like they attempted to do that 2 years ago. And I'm assuming that the same spirit that was there at the table then will be there today. I want to encourage you to communicate your concerns so that they can understand exactly what they're attempting to support you in addressing. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, and I provided medical records that showed the stress of performing the position, and there was also other staff stress concerns that I think Ms. Lee can talk to, interdepartmental stuff in our office. I'm not speaking for the department, but we worked for 2 years. I provided, cognitive testing results to show them the struggles that I was having. And I mean, I did everything I can. And, with my diagnosis, they were able to accommodate me with headphones, noise canceling headphones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think for this position, I just don't think I'm ready to go back to that position. I don't know what to do. I mean, I know this position was detrimental, but I wanted to return back to work. There's so much of this position that it was detrimental to my health, and knowing that, but I understand I don't get to pick and choose, but it's like jumping in the water that burned you.
Yeah, my final thing is I want to set you up for success.
Yes, sir.
You know what you know. You experience what you experience. I don't think anybody wants to discount that experience, but I really want you to do your best to be open-minded about what the future looks like. And I just hear hesitation, a very reserved approach, and I really want you to give your department the opportunity to support you as you transition back into actively working.
Okay.
Just legally, I just want to state that the department handles ADA issues in accordance with ADA provisions. Just with the statement you made that stress cannot be accommodated, that's not something that the benefit board determines. It's determined by the department in accordance with ADA provisions.
Can you speak to the ADA?
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, if you will, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
It's unanimous. Best of luck to you, and to echo Mr. Finch's comments, definitely just stay in communication with your department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can see the Social Security approvals for your information. And then we do have, I'm sorry, not for your information, the Social Security approvals 13 through 16. I got ahead of myself, sorry.
Items 13 through 16 were approved for Social Security prior to their upcoming reexaminations. This is a request to remove them from the future reexamination list and continue without future review.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Now we get to the deferral history, which is for your information. We have the Social Security reviews and referrals for the month of January. If we could get a motion on that one, please.
So moved.
Motion and a second.
All in favor?
Unanimous. And moving on to pension, service, disability to service, survivor, QDROs, and options elected. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, perfect. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Wonderful.
Public comment period. We did not have anyone sign up for public comment period. Item number 2 is the pension valuation. I believe you should have that in front of you. USI will be presenting the final results of the annual actuarial valuation on the pension plans. In accordance with Metro Code Section 3.16.050, the board will need to adopt the contribution rate for next year by the end of February. And we have Kevin Sullivan here to present the final results.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I was here 2 weeks ago at the January study session to present preliminary evaluation results. The results really haven't changed since then. Am I not on? Can you hear me?
The one next to you is, I know we can turn that one. You can either use that one or turn this one off.
Good, thanks. Let's try this one. Oh, that's better.
Great.
So I was here 2 weeks ago at the January study session to present preliminary evaluation results. These final results really haven't changed from those, so I may go through some of this fairly quickly for the sake of time. So this would be to recommend the rate that Metro would contribute for the period July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027. Also, we want to measure the funding status of the plan and verify that the recommended rate satisfies the state minimum. So I'm going to jump over a little bit to slide 5 on the trust activity for the plan year ended June 30, 2025. So we started the year with a market value of assets of $4.166 billion. Contributions came in at a little over $131 million. Investment income totaled about 7.2% versus our 7% expected return at $296.4 million. And then benefit payments to employees and or to participants and beneficiaries totaled $233.7 million, giving us an ending value of $4.36 billion. So our expected return at an even 7% would have been $288 million, but we had a little better return than that, so gives us a gain to be amortized of about $8.4 million. And on slide 6, this shows the 5-year history of gains and losses. We don't recognize all gains and losses immediately in the year they occur. We smooth those over a 5-year period. That helps to keep the contribution more stable, less volatility. And in our 5-year history, we actually had a really incredible return in 2021 of a gain of about $809 million versus expected. That was followed by 2 losses in 2022 and 2023, and then relatively small gains for the last 2 years. So this large gain in 2021 is really what has been driving things over the last several years. And so on slide 7, this shows the portion of these gains and losses that have been recognized as of June 30, 2025. So all of that 2021 gain of $809 million is now fully recognized in the actuarial value of assets, along with 80% of the 2022 loss, 60% of the 2023 loss, and then 40 and 20% respectively of those small gains for 2022 or 2024 and 2025. And on slide 8, this shows the calculation of the actuarial value of assets. So we start with the market value and then back out those unrecognized portions of those losses and gains for the last 4 years. And that gives us an actuarial value of assets of just over $4.5 billion. And we do then have a net loss to recognize over the next 4 years by 2029 of about 140.7. Since that is a loss and we're going to be recognizing that, we generally expect this to push up the contribution rate over the next few years. And this doesn't happen uniformly. On slide 9, this shows the pattern of how we recognize these gains and losses. Since a lot of these losses, the net loss was related to 2022 and 2023, we recognize a larger portion of those next year. So we'll recognize about $108 million in losses. Now that by itself would tend to push the contribution rate up close to 1%. So that's a pretty significant recognition. So that may be something we want to keep in mind as we look towards next year. And I've got a little more information on what that might look like in a moment. On slide 10, this shows the history of the market value and actuarial value of assets. And this is exactly what we want to see. The assets are moving up and to the right, so a higher value each year. And also you see the dark blue line represents the actuarial value of assets. Much less volatility in that line, much more of a upward straight line to the right, which is what we want to see. A little more volatility in the market value, which is expected when we have good years and bad years occurring throughout the history of the plan. Let's see, slide 11, this shows the present value of all benefits for the plan as of June 30, 2025. So this is the present value of all benefits expected to be earned by our current active population, plus the benefits already earned by our retirees and beneficiaries, and the benefits already earned but not yet started to be paid for our deferred vested population. And that totaled $5.8 billion. Now, of that total, the valuation assets cover $4.5 billion of the total. And then the other 3 components, the larger component is what we call the future normal cost. And that's the future benefits that will be earned after this year by the active population. So we don't try to fund those right now. We fund those each year as they earn those benefits. Because for a relatively young active member, they're going to earn benefits for maybe 30 years. While all of that's included in the $5.8 billion number here, we don't fund it now. We fund it over those next 30 years as they earn those benefits. So that's $905 million. Then the normal cost is the portion of benefits that's earned by the active population in the current year. And we want to fully fund that this year as they earn those benefits. And then we have an unfunded liability of about $289 million, and we amortize that over a 15-year period to try to slowly eat away at that unfunded liability over time. And on slide 12, this shows the calculation in the middle stack there of the recommended contribution rate. And this includes that normal cost number plus the amortization of the unfunded liability plus interest to the middle of the year, giving us a total of $139.6 million. And if we compare that to the compensation base, that gives us a 13.403 baseline recommended contribution rate. And if we compare that to the prior year, we were at 13.550. So a relatively small decrease in that recommended contribution. See a little more information on the funded ratio of the plan on slide 13. The current funded ratio on a market value basis is 91 million. Of course, that fully includes that 140 unrecognized net loss. The actuarial value that does not include that loss is 94%. So these are very good numbers. And if you look at the history of the plan here, a couple things that'll jump out to you. One, the market value funded ratio has considerably more volatility than the dark blue line, which is the actuarial value, which is somewhat expected. And we've been as low as 70% and as high as 111% on a market value basis. but generally been very stable on the actuarial value basis. Really, for the last 10 years have been between 90 and about 98%, and going back for really 30 years, we've been between 80 and 95% funded. So very, very nice, stable position there. So I'm going to jump over a couple of slides to slide 15. So this is a little bit of new information here just on the historical average investment returns for the plan. So what I'm showing here is a 5-year rolling average of the investment return going all the way from 2025 all the way back to 2001, so 25 years here. So those stat columns on the right show the 5-year average. The orange line shows the average return during this entire period. So back before about 2011, our assumed return was, and I may have said average, expected return. The back before 2011, our assumed return was 8%, and then we slowly dropped that to our current 7%. So our current 5-year average expected return, the orange line, is 7%. And going back again, historically, it's been as high as 8%. But a couple things to note in this graph. One is that really the latter half of the graph, we've almost always been above our expected return on a rolling 5-year average, which is good. In the earlier period, much more volatility in these numbers. Also, right in the middle of the graph, you'll see from 2009 to 2013, we were well below. That's because that 5-year average included the 2008 market decline, so it really had an impact on that average. 2014, once that bad year was out of the average, the 5-year average jumps up to about 13%. And of course, the 2008 decline was followed by a couple of really good years, so those are why you see 2014 and 15 relatively high and then dropping back down to more normal numbers. Now, we'll say, right now, the 5-year average includes a really good return for 2021. When that rolls out, so if I were to show you the same graph next year, which I probably will, you'll see 2026 will be below the line because unless we have something really good happen over the next 4 months or so, the 5-year average is going to be below 7%. Nothing alarming about that. That's just kind of the pattern of how things happen. We've had some really good years and might not be surprised if we have some less than good years in the years ahead.
Any idea what that would look like at this point?
As far as the contribution rate?
No, the rate, rolling 5.
Yeah, it's going to be because we've had 2 years where we've been just above 7% and then 2 years where we were positive but well below 7%. So right now, if we kind of average out kind of what we're projected to, kind of what we've seen thus far this year through 2026, we're probably going to be somewhere right around 6% as the average. So certainly nothing drastic there. Nothing like, probably very similar to what we saw in 2019 and 2020 is the 5-year average. So nothing too drastic.
Okay, good. Thanks. And on the, you moved on before I could get out a question earlier. On the current funded ratio, the market value and actuarial value, how are those comparing to, our peers in the country?
Yeah, most studies will show the typical public plan somewhere either, because I looked at 2 studies just over the last couple of days because I kind of anticipate this question each year.
I ask it.
A smaller, maybe that's coming from you. The smaller study groups studying about 100 plans will usually show something around 85%, which is a little higher than I think the actual average is. A larger study group puts it in the high 70s, which are still improvements over where they were just a few years ago. So not just, Metro's plan showing, gradual improvement in funded ratio, but a lot of public plans are as well. Of course, a lot of other public plans, more typical public plans, are putting in hefty contributions right now to try to get the funded ratio of the plan up. You've been fortunate for the last several years to kind of keep that contribution rate relatively stable and still manage to have a stable funded ratio of the plan. That's the benefit of being well funded is your contribution doesn't have to get driven up to keep the funded ratio high.
Yeah, I think it is good leadership.
Yep.
At the mayor's office or the finance department to kind of fund what we recommend.
Right. It's really, I kind of view it as 2 key things. One, making sure you get good investment results, good investment management, which you have had, and that has been a big driver. And then also keeping that contribution rate as it is and not not taking what some plans have historically done, contribution holidays, where you kind of put in less than the recommended contribution. So on slide 16, this shows a lot of information on this graph, but this really shows kind of the stability of the contribution rate over the last several years. So what this shows, the blue bars represent investment gains. The orange bars that are below the line represent investment losses. That light blue line shows the recommended contribution rate. And it has been relatively stable for about 10 years now between, I think we've been between, say, 11 and 14% during that time. Going back earlier, the contribution rate was as low as about 5.7% in the year 2000. That was after several years of really good investment return. But it's been as high as about 18.5% in 2013 after recognizing some of the last losses from 2008, 2009. See, going to skip over a couple of slides to slide 18 on some key drivers in that contribution rate change. So we've had, I'm going to kind of start at the right-hand side. Salary increases greater than expected. This is something we've seen the last couple of years have pushed the contribution rate up slightly by about 0.61%. And then asset gains, actually, because of the pattern of recognition of gains and losses, help push it down by a very small amount, about 0.09%. And then retiree mortality has been less than expected the last couple of years, and that's following the COVID years where it was a good bit higher than expected. But that acted to provide a very small increase of about 0.03%. And then some other factors which are primarily related to the pattern of retirements and terminations, delayed retirements has helped to push the rate down by about 0.7%. On slide 19, this is similar to something I showed 2 weeks ago, but I've broken this down between historical in orange going up through the current year, but after that, that represents the current retiree population, and the blue stack bars represent the currently active. So this just demonstrates that if we look out through, say, 2055, when our total benefit payments are projected to be about $600 million a year, the bulk of that is coming from the current active population as those folks retire over time. And of course, these are dollars in those years. If you take a present value of all of these stack bars here, you get back to that $5.8 billion number. So while these numbers appear to be growing rapidly over the next 30 years, nothing alarming in this. This is all what's expected to happen with the plan, and it's all fully recognized in the funding mechanism of the plan. See, jumping over a couple of slides to slide 21, this is some new information on the active population trend. So I just thought I'd compare the 2025 active population for general government and public safety versus where we were in 2020. So the box on the left, the graph on the left shows the general government, on the right shows public safety, fire and police. So a couple things to note. The orange bars are the 2020 population by 5-year age band. The 2025 is in blue. And that orange line represents the percent increase. So if you compare the two, you'll note that fire and police has a more rapid drop-off in population by age, which is expected. We expect our public safety folks to retire at earlier ages. That's the way the plan is designed. You'll also notice, in general, the population is increasing for both groups, both general government, fire, and police, although both show a greater increase in really about post-age 55 for general government, and really post-age, well, roughly post-age 55, 60 for general government, or for fire and police. And that's kind of a trend we see in many plans where folks are just working longer. We're living longer, so it makes sense that folks choose to work longer as well. And generally that is helpful for the plan. It really, just a couple years may increase the cost for an individual participant if they work just a couple years past normal retirement. But once they work several years past normal retirement, they would tend to have a shorter retiree period and draw benefits for a shorter period of time. So that may actually help the plan, which is kind of what we're seeing in the trends in the plan now. So on slide 22, this shows a contribution rate projection. And we're showing this under really 3 scenarios. If we have a 0% return for the current year, 4% for the current year, and then 8% for the current year. We're on track to probably do a little better than any of these scenarios. A couple weeks ago, I took a measure of the assets at the time, and I think we were at about a 6% gain fiscal year to date. So just what what the plan has earned thus far would put us somewhere between the light blue and the dark blue line. But if we keep that trend going, then we expect to be a little better than the light blue line, which is the 8% return. But in all three scenarios, we're expecting a contribution rate increase next year. And that's all driven by that $108 million loss number that we're going to recognize next year. So again, so if we have a really good year, maybe that bends this line down further. But kind of where we are thus far, we're expecting to probably get just above 14% as our recommended contribution rate next year when we're here presenting results. So that really brings me to the end. On slide 23, we kind of have a summary of the recommended rate. In the middle, the baseline rate, the 7% with a 15-year amortization is 14.403%. The state minimum, which is normal cost plus a 30-year amortization of unfunded liability, is 12.806. And then the current rate is 13.550 for comparison purposes. So it kind of brings me to the end. Any other questions for me?
Mr. Hall?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to get a second, then I'll tell you why, that we keep the current rate at 13.550. If I get a second, I explain my rate. Okay, you said there's gonna be an increase next year, and this would just make it smoother next year. So I think if we need to do that.
Mr. Curtis, did you have another question, or was your light on from earlier?
Well, I was going to ask, I thought that there was a few slides back, I thought that the baseline was, or the recommended rate might be more than the current rate. Was it, how many slides back was that? I'll see if I can find it. Do you have a comparison of those? I can't find it. I mean, I agree with BR. I think it's a good thing to do to keep that, to go with the higher rate personally.
Yeah, I probably did make a couple of references along the way that the rate was going to be increasing, but not this year, next year, due to that, the loss to amortize, recognize.
Page 12, I guess, was the one.
Yeah, the current recommendation is in the center column. The column on the right is prior year numbers.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I had it transposed in my head, so, okay.
Gotcha.
Ms. Hall?
Madam Chair, thank you. You guys, Janine was unexpectedly pulled away in a way that she was not able to be here, and we would typically go to her. I know that she is concurrent with, I think she had communicated with Ginger that, you know, she definitely supports the recommendations coming from BPSM. The motion you have made makes a lot of sense to me, just to kind of even out the stability of what is likely coming next year. I don't want to put him on the spot, just a confirmation. Kevin Brown is here. He's the Deputy Director in Finance. Would just love our finance partner to confirm, yes, we are okay keeping the current contribution rate, which is just a hair over the baseline contribution rate. And I think functionally makes a lot of sense, likely for finance and budgetary components, but would love to hear that from my finance partner in leadership.
All right, thank you, Shannon. I'm Kevin Brown, Deputy Director of Finance. Director Reed, like Shannon said, unfortunately couldn't be here today. She is fully supportive of the recommended 13.4%, but if the motion is 13.5, we can support that as well.
Just knowing that our actuary, who has kept us in good standing, because to your point, I think it's, well, Tom's point about good leadership, it happens in a lot of places, right? Treasury team's done a great job, investment committee's done a great job, our actuary's done a great job, and that our board has made important decisions. And knowing it's just a hair above and likely where our current returns are for the current year, I feel like that's, as long as you are okay with that, this makes a lot of sense to me and is consistent at times with decisions the board has made when they see, hey, let's try to lessen that burden a little bit right now so that we're not eating it more next year. So if you're supportive of that, I would be very supportive of the motion BR made.
Yes, we support the motion.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Finch.
You know, I always love your presentation, so.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you for the information again, but I'm asking you to look in your crystal ball.
Okay.
If possible. What would you project this 13 point whatever to be next year? I agree with the motion. I'm just curious as to what you are expecting. This loss, this 108, I believe that you mentioned, how's it going to impact?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we're kind of outside of the range of about between 14 and 14.5% next year. Even with the 13.55 maintaining the rate, I think we're probably going to be between 14 and a half. And again, that could change this afternoon about what the market does, because the market investment return is the primary assumption or primary result that drives so much in pension plans. So if we have a really good year between now and June 30th, it could push it down below 14. But a pullback in the market could push us above the 14 and a half. But that would be my best guess is where we end up. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting on the investment side, we have, relative to our peers, I think you'd see the last 7 to 10 years, numbers have been really good. The last 1 to 3 years haven't been, because we have a relatively larger percent in illiquid assets, think private equity, private real estate, and private credit or fixed income. So, and those marks, meaning the valuations on those tend to not move. And you get the valuations as the assets get liquid and they sell them out of there. So it's been unusual right in the third year of privates being underperforming to the public markets. Typically, they outperform. They've been a big part of our great performance over the last 7 to 10 years. So, I don't know what to expect there. Don't have a crystal ball at all, but it is unusual that we've done 3 years now. There's only been one other time or 2 times where there were 2 years in a row. But that part of the market's changing. It has been changing for the good for us for a number of years. But that's just something to note that you see in the investment returns out there. So, not worried about it, concerned that it's 3 years in a row. But you look historically, that's a real abnormal situation. So, any thoughts on that?
Sorry.
Is that work with others that you're seeing as well?
Yes, yeah, and I would say I think Metro's investment committee management team have done a really good job, because I can't say enough. With all pension plans we see, investment return is the driver of what the plan costs. It's the driver of whether the plan is sustainable. It's the driver of whether the plan is successful. It drives everything. So if you're getting that right, that fixes a lot of other issues that may come along. And not that I say any other issues I've seen with Metro, but that drives everything.
Not to get bogged down in the weeds too much here, but historically, what is the largest single rate swing that we have seen from one year to the next? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, there's a little bit of information on an earlier slide on that, although I have to get out the magnifying glass to look. There was some, well, I'll say this. I remember right after the 2008 market decline, we were projecting the rate to go well above 20%. And fortunately, we didn't, because we had some good years following the 2008 market decline. But I think we've had 2% increases in the rates before. I think maybe from 2008 to 2009, that was a pretty steep increase. And there was also we went through a 5-year period of steep rate increases after we hit that 5.7%, because we pretty much went directly from 5.7 to about 14, 15% through about 5 or 6 years there. So that was a pretty long period of close to 2% rate increases each year.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think I said this offline after the meeting last time. But again, this is consistent with the management plan that we've used, this board's endorsed. This plan has stayed competitive and solvent and looking good compared to our peers because we've used the smoothing. We've made conservative estimations, not wild estimations based on one-year market. We haven't done the skip-a-payment plan, and we haven't added benefits without being able to fund them. So again, to echo Director Hall, this plan works because of sound judgment in key places all over. So I, again, speak in favor of the motion.
Any other questions or comments?
So what is that number that we're going, I mean, it's the 13.55. What's the actual dollar number?
The dollar number varies. It's actually the contribution rate that's applied to the real salary. So I actually don't have that number, but it would be roughly 141 million based on the numbers here.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for 13.55%. If there are no other questions or comments, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Wonderful. Thank you, and thank each
Thank
of
you.
you.
Moving on to item number 3. This is our Cigna Health Coach introduction. We are pleased to welcome our new Cigna Health Coach, Amy Hale, RN, and Certified Health Coach, who will provide personalized in-person and virtual coaching support to benefits eligible employees, focusing on wellness goals, lifestyle improvements, preventative health strategies, and management of at-risk conditions such as prediabetes, hypertension, and stress to enhance overall member outcomes and reduce long-term healthcare costs. This position is fully funded and supported by Cigna. You're already up here. I'd like to welcome up, if you could introduce yourself, Christy and Paul, and then we can introduce our new health coach.
All right. Good morning. I'm Amy. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I am a health coach. I have 13 years experience as a nurse working at Centennial and Vanderbilt, been in Nashville a while, and in 2021 got certified in health coaching. Health coaching is a newer emerging field. I don't know how familiar you all are with it, but it really focuses on a holistic model of health, meaning yes, we're caring for physical health, but also mental and emotional health as well. So I give the example of smoking cessation. Everyone knows smoking is bad for you. It's the behavior change that really goes into that and creating lasting, sustaining change. And I've got experience with motivational interviewing and behavior change as well. And so what my service will offer is mostly one-on-one coaching. Those areas tend to be weight loss, smoking cessation, and stress management. And really promoting this in the last week and a half, I've had a great response from police and sheriff department, actually. And in that response, most of it has been customers coming to me for stress management, healthy eating, and weight loss. So there is a need. And outside of the one-on-one coaching, I can also do webinars, more educational events. I can do stop-by booths for an hour or two, a little more informal education sessions or lunch and learns. Really happy to help and look forward to working with you all.
Yeah, and I'm Paul Huffman with Cigna Healthcare. So just to give you some background on Amy's role, and so through a collaboration with Metro HR and the benefit staff, Cigna agreed to provide this health coach to Metro at no additional cost. So Cigna is funding this full-time employee. Amy is dedicated to Metro government. She works for no other client within Cigna. So she is your health coach. And we have made her available to Metro members, Metro employees, either virtually or in person, depending on schedules. And I believe Monday through Thursday, she's mostly virtual, except for some of the things that she said she can attend events, webinars. And then on Fridays, she will be located at the MNPS Wellness Center, where we do have a large need for the MNPS staff, Metro government members who work for the schools that have a need for coaching. So she'll be able to be a convenient resource for them in that place. but she started January 20th, and through communication that Christy and her staff put together, we've already got quite a bit of interest and activity.
And my name is Christy Mayo, and I'm with Metro HR. And as Paul mentioned, I am working with the two of them, with Amy and Paul, to communicate this position to our employees. We are working with department HR coordinators to get the word out to employees. We will be doing a mailer to employees' homes for employees who may not see that communication through their email. And we'll also be putting up posters in break rooms, things of that nature, to get the word out about Amy's services.
Wonderful. One question, just curiosity question, then I'll come to others. What are your hours of availability, particularly for virtual appointments?
So virtual, it's Mondays from 8 to 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays is 9 to 6, and then Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 to 4. So trying to have a little more leeway outside of the traditional 9 to 5, just to be available.
Thank you. Mr. Curtis? Jim?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I think this is a great program. Appreciate Cigna jumping in to identify a need and HR getting this out. You sort of touched on it. Hopefully you have a lot of demand. Do you all anticipate being able to bring on another FTE? Do you think it will get there? And what's your component of looking at expansion as need arises? Because hopefully, the need's out there, but hopefully y'all can.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we actually discussed that. So, I don't know how long we would give it till we make that decision, but, I mean, we'll be able to see that pretty early on, how busy she stays. And that's always something we would consider. Again, Cigna's funding this, and so that would not be a decision I could make. I have to take that up the chain. But, yeah, that's something I would advocate, is to, if we have that need and it is well received, we see a growth. And, this kind of thing, generally, it's a cost that drives savings at some point. So we look at it as a way to provide additional service and, provide some savings, hopefully, to the county to the government, so that, they have less time in the emergency rooms and things like that.
Thank you, and I am thrilled that that's something that Cigna is doing, and I will just say, if it gets to the point of a second person, I would personally encourage that to be maybe a second shift set of hours, because depending on someone's role, it might be harder, and I love that you have the 7 in the morning and you go till 6. That is going to be extremely helpful, but if there is ever an opportunity or need to add a second person, I think it would be great to have somebody who's more dedicated to evening hours, especially for police, fire, even, really all positions. Everyone isn't able to step away during the day, but I think regardless, it's a wonderful service and gonna be a real benefit to employees. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you very much. Great to meet you. Thank you as always, Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Madam Chair, on a separate note, Mr. Huffman, do we have an update on the coverage that was in our packet?
Yes.
Oh, is that
Yeah, that's the one I think I emailed you about this morning, the Cigna.
Yeah, I believe the one in the packet is for East Tennessee Children's Hospital,
Correct.
pediatrics, Partners in Pediatrics. No update on that one. That is one we're still in negotiation, and we anticipate probably will go down to the wire. I think it's a March 1st deadline, so we're less than a month away. We originally, that was communicated by the provider. They got out ahead of it before us, and so we had to follow up pretty quickly with member communications. So as we get closer to negotiation or to a resolution on that, I'll let you know. But at this point, we're still at the table, and lines of communication are still open.
Thank you.
How many members would be impacted by, is
On
is
that
a
one,
number that you?
I think it's in the, I don't have it in front of me.
I saw the
It
letter,
was,
I
it's
didn't-
not many, because obviously these are mostly,
4 + 108, so
mostly probably retirees that,
252.
Okay, I must have overlooked that. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Just have a point of information. how's the IOD cards for the pensioners going?
I think Courtney from Acrisure is here. You could just introduce yourself, Courtney, again to the board.
Sure. Courtney Hughes, Acrisure Claim Services. Yes, Carrie, the account manager, those were mailed out. They were confirmed and approved January the 9th. So they should have already been mailed out, and they should have been receiving those because they were to go out the week after the 9th. Yes, sir.
I've had some that received them, some that, and I received mine, and I said, I think I got mine, but they keep shutting down.
If you have any specifics that come to you, then you can, certainly we can, ensure that they get those cards. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And moving on to reports for your information are as shown with our biannual Tennessee Open Meetings Act and privacy notice. And that is all. There are no late items. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here.
One more comment.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm so sorry.
I apologize for missing the first part of the meeting if this has already been done, but I would like to personally thank the employees of Metro government. To say the last week and a half going on 2 weeks has been challenging would be an understatement. So appreciate all the hard work. I know a lot of people were dealing with their own personal issues at home, being without power during the extreme cold. But as we enter the recovery phase of this thing, this is going to be, for some people, unfortunately, will be an extended time period for them to get their house back in order. But our thoughts are with them. But just from the board, I would just like to say thank you very much to the employees for doing the job that they've done for us.
Yep, no late items. Thank you all again for being here today, and thank you for our board chair for kind of doing double duty this morning for us. So thank you.
We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.